Asteroid of fear.
Welcome to another episode of the Men of the House podcast, and I'm going to be telling my story again. Another Wednesday of me. That's right, my favorite subject. Not really. Um, but I did agree to give you the story, so here we are. I did forget to mention on my walk on Monday, on the episode I dropped, I think it was Sunday maybe, did meet a lady, I think who was 82, named Betty. She was putting a flag out front and stop and talk to her. Her husband had passed away, and she met someone, and the lady told her about the unit over here. So she moved in, and the lady lives down the road, and she takes her for drives and this and that, the other. So we were talking about that, talking about caregiving, different things. But I kind of forgot to mention that, and that was kind of a highlight of my day, getting to talk to her and meeting her. And let me see, I feel like there was, oh yeah, maybe I'll stop taking Singulair. That's one of the two medications I take. One for when I got pneumonia in 2017, double lobe. The doctor said, well, it's like birth control for asthmatics. You take it so you don't get sick. You don't necessarily feel it per se. However, there was an article the other day saying it's been linked to, you know, like suicidal ideations, kind of some of those low frequency, low vibrational patterns. And I don't need any of that in my life. I got enough of that without anything working against me. And I am not the same person I was in 2017, internally, externally, weight, health. So, when I started taking that, I was really sick coming off a bout of pneumonia. Therefore, I think I'm going to give it a whirl. I just got to remember not to take it because I pack it in my medicines. Yeah, I'm going to roll the dice. Forget about it. Yeah, get off another medication. Fuck that shit. I don't need it. All right. So coming off my Navy career, so I bet I was the only guy who failed out of nuke school and then got a full scholarship on alpha active duty. And, you know, my E6 was telling me, hey, I just don't think you should take it. Your officer career is going to last about as long as you're enlisted. And boy, was he right. I spent about a year, maybe a little over, University of Florida before I dropped that. And I was able to get out. Um, I didn't want to take the scholarship. I didn't want to go to college. And then, of course, when you take the officer route, especially in the Navy, you are one of maybe four things: special operations, super difficult to get into, even in the 90s, uh, aviator, um, submarines, submariner, or SWO daddy, surface warfare officer. And that means you're like doing all the different general tour type things. You're going to be an engineer, probably do some operations, uh, navigation, stand watches, because ultimately you are training to drive a ship, run a ship. Now, I don't know about you, but that did not seem of interest to me. Um, Neither did being a submariner or, nor a pilot. But yeah, that, one couple of different things. One, I didn't want to be an engineer. We've already established that. And with those scholarships, you have to take calculus 1 and 2, I think with physics, or physics 1 and 2 with calculus, calculus 1 and 2 with maybe analytical geometry or something. I don't know, but very engineering heavy to where even if you're not going to be an engineer, you're almost going to be forced to switch to it because they are so um, math and science heavy. Because ultimately, they're going to have you driving a ship and you need to know about engineering. And yeah, so again, my grades were so so and then kind of poor. Um, part of it was just a combination of things. One, I didn't want to be there. Again, just like boot camp, I'm stuck in a job I don't want, moving further down the line towards a job I don't want. And during this time, I probably, let's say, maybe fall in love for the first time. Yeah, that was electric and somewhat toxic. Maybe somewhat, not really. But overall, I mean, we were young and yeah, everybody's got one of these stories and it's good and then it sucks and it's very difficult to deal with. And again, true to my fashion and pattern, um, dealt with it poorly. I was already feeling unworthy, the inability to be forgiven, and this just made me feel worse about myself. Not feeling adequate, not feeling good enough. But of course, 30 years later, I can understand. I mean, we were not going to be married and do X, Y, Z. We were just too young. Yeah. But yeah, we met at University of Florida. I think I knew immediately the moment I saw her, was going to somehow have her in my life, whatever that meant or looked like. It was just, it was electric. Um, if you've ever had those moments, a look across the room, it was the night of Gator Growl, and I was on the drill team, and we had performed in front of the entire stadium at University of Florida, and we were tossing rifles, and I was first person on the screen, the shortest. I was at the front of the stack, and she had seen me, and I went to a party at one of the girls who was in ROTC. Um, it was one of the roommates' friends, one of her roommates' best friend. And I walked in, she was sitting on the bed. I remember looking at her and a smile, and you lock eyes with someone, and it's just over. You both know. Um, that's one of the awesome things about connection when you make it, when there's a real thing. I don't know that those are the best connections, or if those are the ones that last 20 years, or they're the ones that are kind of uh, animalistic in nature and very lustful. But yeah, it was a little bit like that. Fireworks, just knowing you're going to be with that person, like you just look at them and you both know. It's so weird how that can happen. But yeah, she introduced me to, her best friend. The ex-boyfriend became one of my good friends, Jamie from Boca, and I would end up moving to Boca after my college career. But, in terms of college career, yeah, it it was just a year of it was somewhat fun. I had some good times kind of with the military people. We didn't do fraternities because kind of being in the military, all the prior enlisted people, we were kind of like our own fraternity, but a lot of drinking, a lot of hazing. Um, yeah, because there hadn't been a drinking age in Japan. And I had my 19th birthday there, so I mean, drinking wasn't that big of a deal. And there were some points, yeah, we definitely drank too much. It was just kind of part of the culture. Not saying that that's right or wrong, but this was the military culture in the 90s. So a lot of drinking, a lot of fun, doing things like rappelling off the third story of an apartment building. Um, just crazy things. That's why I always say nobody is more surprised that I'm alive than myself. Just some of the things. I mean, taking off in the middle of the night, driving to Daytona Beach, going swimming in the ocean in the middle of the night, then heading over to a pool. Wow. One weekend that Erin and I broke up, uh, man, it was like Thanksgiving. She had cheated on me, and I just remember being kind of so heartbroken, and I was sick. I'd never taken NyQuil, and me, Sean Suter, and Joe Conway were in West Palm Beach visiting my uncle, and because she was from Boca, and we kind of drove back over the weekend, and I was so sick, I was ready to check myself in the hospital. It was kind of like having mono again, and Joe's like, "If you've never had NyQuil," so I was taking shots of NyQuil. We were drinking. I was just so hurt that I did not care. Yeah, drinking alcohol, drinking NyQuil, shots of NyQuil, chasing it with a beer, then driving, almost getting in fights at every turn, just driving like a crazy person. Me, Sean, Joe, Jerry. I never know Jerry's last name, but he's a crazy recon Marine. And I wonder what Suter's doing now. I'm pretty sure he went on to become a warrant officer or something as a recon Marine. Shout out to Sean Suter, Dan Broadhurst, Giovanni Conway, McFlip. Huh. But yeah, we did some trips like that. Um, we were just always into something, it seemed like. But yeah, there was school, there was always the option of switching over to Marine option, which I went for a little 4 mile ruck with them once, or no, I think it was more like 8. It was more than 4 miles. I ended up with blisters. Oh, this is episode 100. I remember swimming a lot because they wanted us all to be like level 1 swimmers. It's not required, but it looks good. I could never pass the burning oil drill where you like jump off the platform. You got to swim underneath and you got to break the water, only like allowing your lips out to get some breath. Because it's like if there's burning oil, you're pushing the oil and flames away from your face so you don't burn your face off. Getting air, going back under, and doing that 3 times. Now, if you didn't pass it, which I didn't, that meant that you had to swim like 3 times a week. So I did that. A lot of towing other people across the pools, windy. I remember her. I was a little guy then, probably 5'4", 120 pounds, 127 pounds, and when we were doing the rescue swimmer kind of drill, and there was like 4 of us left, and it was me, Wendy, Joe, who's about my size, a little bigger, and this other dude, and she's like, I want him when it was time for us to do it. And Joe got the big tall dude, and I got Wendy, which it was easy for her to carry me across the pool because I'm a little dude, but she was large chested, and it was super difficult for me as this little guy to like spin her around, come up underneath her, and try to get my arm around her chest and torso body area in order to drag her across the pool. But I made it. We made it. And Wendy ended up becoming a really good friend. She was kind of like a friend that was a girl who she brought me. I remember this little Christmas tree that I had forever. Um, I think she ended up in Corpus Christi or something. But yeah, she was a prior enlisted person as well. That was one of the things we bonded over. That was also when I may have told this story where I had this dream. Wendy was one of the people I told, I believe, where I had a dream one night that I have this feeling I get when I'm asleep that I feel like my head is spinning. Like if you've been drunk and your head is spinning, and I feel like I'm going to spin into this kind of place. Like if I spin into this next dimension, I'm not going to wake up. And so I always try to wake myself up. In this particular time, I tried to wake myself up, but when I opened my eyes, I looked up and there was someone in all black who looked like kind of like the devil, but in a priest's outfit, choking me. And then he punched me in the jaw, and I woke up. And it was weird, and I had no way to assign meaning to it. And I can remember telling Wendy, um, you know, my jaw is swollen. You can see it, it hurts. And, we were talking about do we believe in stuff like that? And then I got a call that afternoon that my grandmother had passed away the night before when that was happening to me. So I always felt like it was her taking my place, that the devil had come for me or an angel. Because, like I said, he had the darker connotation, but wearing a priest outfit with a little white collar. Yeah, that was kind of one of the significant things. And then, of course, when I came back from college, I remember that's when my parents were split up. I believe, I want to say it was during that time or before that time. Somewhere in there, my parents had split. Probably like my second semester in college. Or maybe when I came back after the summer. And, you know, so between that and a breakup of like your first love, um, and already feeling like my worth was low, and then feeling like, well, how long have my parents been in this situation? And why didn't they tell me? But that's just kind of the way it is, the way it was, the way they decided to do it, even though we were all very close. But that definitely influenced how I would behave moving forward in terms of pushing away from everyone and everything, kind of staying and hanging out in Florida, moving down to South Florida, Boca Raton, um, and becoming roommates with Adam, who was Jamie's best friend from high school. And Jamie is the ex boyfriend of Alyssa, who Alyssa was best friends with Erin, the girl that I dated from Gator Girl. So you take all those things. Yeah, I dealt poorly, pushed myself away, and through having met Jamie, having us bonded over being broken up with by best friends, um, I ended up skedaddling and not coming home, not talking to parents very much over the next 4 to 6 years. But yeah, a lot of tough experiences, being in a role again, being in a position with no end game in sight other than to kind of fell out. Because I really didn't want to just get rid of the scholarship and have to go back to the fleet, although I considered it. But at that time, I was probably in love or dating or something like that. So again, it was walking that fine line of kind of being on probation. You know, I could have had another chance to pull myself out and be on academic probation, of course, but you continue to go through, then you end up probably a damn swow daddy. Not a bad life for some people, just wasn't the life that I wanted. You know, I wanted to do something kind of on the ground. I grew up playing in the woods, playing commando. So whether it was a field corpsman with the Marine Corps or, you know, being a Navy SEAL would have been cool, something like that. I was not interested in learning to drive a ship or a sub or really a plane. None of that. So yeah, I walked the fine line and in the end learned a lot about life, falling in love, having your heart broken, trying to put that back together, family breaking up. You know, these were some of the most difficult years of my life for sure. It would kind of influence what I would go on to do, which we'll talk about next time. Kind of my time in South Florida and my the remainder of my 20s, because this takes us to about 20 years old. Yeah, almost 21. So we'll pick up at almost 21. Kind of like my wife said they got that store Forever 21. We got almost 21 for the men. But yeah, shout out to all those people from the University of Florida who made things what they were. Rue, D, Rajiv, Sean, Sataran, Jeremy Osborne, Kappelman, Jibo, Mike Miracle, Maricles, Dan, Lieutenant Dan, Sergeant Chimp, Sergeant Shrimp, um, Jeff and Kelly Rosas. They ended up getting married from this whole ordeal. Mm, yeah, the Navy led me a lot of places, even though it was kind of a short journey for me. I would definitely do it again. I would recommend people do it and try it. You never know. There's so much opportunity. It's what you make of it, I'll say. I wish I'd made more of it, but that was all my fault and life happening. But I got to have the experience, which I'm grateful for. Um, I wish I could go back and have more of that experience some days, but I'm grateful to have gotten what I got. And here we are having other experiences. So I'm going to soak these up the same way. And until next time, again, this is episode 100. Congratulations to me. Woo! Hear all the crowd in the background cheering me on. Taking some messy action. I'm actually coming in early. I was supposed to hit this December 11th, but we're hitting this 11/27. So 11/27, episode 100, the Men of the House podcast. You know, with mini series, the Caregiving Chronicles, my journey. Um, I hope you've enjoyed the 100 episodes. I hope you've gotten something out of it. Maybe different ways to look at things. The interviews. Shout out to all the wonderful people who allowed me to interview them. A lot of great conversations. If you haven't heard them all, go back and listen to them. There's some really good ones. And I look forward to getting back behind the mic, interviewing people again in the future. And of course, coming with yourpeakperformancepartner.com and Your Peak Performance Partner podcast. I already got some ideas of maybe a duo, a team of who I want to interview for the first episode to kick that off. But yeah, super stoked about everything to come. This is just a mile marker in this journey, in this chapter. So thank you all for listening, making this what it is, giving me someone to talk to. Guess I could just talk to space if nobody wants to listen, but in all honesty, I hope you've gotten some value out of it in some form or fashion. At least out of one of the episodes. I know there's value in a lot of them. And if nothing else, I hope you got to learn a little bit more about me, and you will continue to do so, because guess what? Saturday is episode 101. This is just one stop along the way, the first stop, episode 100, which is why if you're interested in coaching with yourpeakperformancepartner.com, you get to know me, the guy who doesn't miss. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Consistent. I even hit my target early. There's an episode where I had to get some medicine. Not only did I get it one place for free, I had it secured a second place for cheap if I needed it. So not only did I do the job, I did it twice. I had the job done and a backup, just in case. And that's how I intend to coach, is to give it my all, do my best, partner with people, and help bring the best out in them, help them get past roadblocks, stumbling. Even if you just need me to listen to you for an hour, I can do that. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Reach out if you're interested, and until next time, go out and be the person that you want to meet.
Asteroid of fear.